something, right?
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'll just do some trivia questions, some
Fine.
basic things which I wanted to cover during this session. First of all, welcome everybody. My name is Akash, as ma'am told, and I have done my engineering from Maharaja Pratap Engineering College, Kanpur in 2008. I passed in 2008. I'm basically a mechanical engineer, but right now working on controls related job. Basically, when you call controls is mostly related to electronics and instrumentation related projects and stuff like that. And I have a question for you guys. In this current situation of lockdown, what do you think is the most, I would not say the most, but one of the most important sector which is kind of under appreciated right now? So anybody who can answer me that question, or tell me a reason why I'm talking about that. Anybody?
Bachchan.
I think, sir, tourism is suffering from this lockdown because
Okay. Sorry, that is Avnash, right?
yes,
Okay, Avnash, I'm not talking about the sector which is suffering. I'm asking about which sector is the most is working hard, but it is not getting appreciation as other sectors. It
I
is
think
going unnoticed.
I
Sorry,
I think manufacturing because in India, yes, sir.
I cannot hear you properly. Your voice is breaking.
I'm saying that manufacturing in India, it is it is happening at the top level, but we are not getting what we are expecting.
Okay. Anybody else?
Internet
Sir,
service
I
provider.
think the hospital staffs.
Okay. For hospital staff, we are still doing things. We are providing stuff. We are appreciating them through different ways and means. Anybody else?
I think the policeman will be.
Can you please speak louder? Come to near the mic.
It's a policeman.
Police. Okay. Okay. Who is?
Yes, Rajat, you were raising
Sir,
your hand.
sir, power.
Okay. Actually, I was looking for that answer because just imagine. Right now we are doing this webinar through internet, right? Through internet and using our laptops or desktops or mobile phones for that matter. So hospitals are working 24 cross 7. Everybody is working 24 cross 7. All the basic necessities are being stored in cold storages or different kind of warehouses. So all what these are being used right now is that everything needs energy, everything needs power, right? So and giving and ensuring that power generation and power transmission distribution is 24 cross 7. That is one of the most important sector which is actually going unnoticed right now, but that is something which is very critical. And it is not only critical during this lockdown period, it is the backbone of any flourishing economy. The power plant, power sector is something which is very much needed. Just imagine if there is a power shortage or power cut in your place or in a hospital or in any other uh, required places, how it would cause havoc. Just imagine. Today's session would be more around talking about what is actually power plant is. I mean, when we do our engineering, when we look around, we usually feel don't we don't usually feel the importance of a power plant. I mean, other than people who have seen power plant or have been to power plant or if somebody is working in power plant, other than that, those people, others don't really appreciate the importance of a power plant. And to be very honest, it is one of the most difficult sector to work with. A reason being the locations at which these power plants are installed or commissioned and where these are operating right now is all very remote location. I mean, my father worked for NTPC. He's still working, and where I have where I was born and brought up, That's a very remote location, almost 200 kilometers away from Varanasi. And going there was a nightmare at one point of time. 8 hours, 9 hours it used to take to just reach that place by road. It was all into hills, and although it was beautiful, the journey was beautiful, but it was used to take a long time. So people going there, taking their families, working there, that is something which needs a lot of you know patience and commitment by the people, and we need to know and appreciate those kind of people. Whenever you next time after this session, whenever you go past a power plant or go past even a small uh, switchyard, you should be thankful and appreciate that the people behind those switchyards, those power plant is very much are very much needed, and they should be appreciated as any other sector of uh, economy. So I see it is 12:01 right now. Ma'am, should I start? I see only 18 participants right now. Do we
Uh,
expect more participants to join in?
no, sir, maybe one or two, but this would be it.
Oh, okay. So in that case, I have prepared a pitch, small pitch. If you can look at it, I'll be talking about it mostly, um, and you can stop me if you want in between, and I'll see if I can answer your questions or if I can repeat something if you want. And also let me know once you are able to see my screen. I think my screen sharing has been disabled. Ma'am, can you enable that for me?
Just a moment, sir. सर ट्राई करिए एक बार.
अभी भी नहीं आ रहा है. It is saying disabled participant sharing.
अब सर, now.
Yes, I can share now.
Okay.
Okay, let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen now. Can you see the presentation?
No.
Yes, we can.
Now? Okay.
Wait for a minute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So basically, I'll be talking about the power plant operation and the role of controls engineering into it. I understand that most of the participants are part of electronics and communication. So you would be learning in your engineering degree course, you would be learning more about how communication, the basic different devices, different protocols about electronics communication, and I would try and make you realize how it is important and what is its role in running a power plant. So before I go into that detail, let me just give you a brief background about what a power plant is, how are different power plant categorized, uh, what are then you will probably understand the importance and the uh, essence of controls engineering into a power plant's operation. So going to the first slide, this slide is basically showing you what are the different fuels and different ways in which power generation happens. If you see on, and it also shows you the trend of power generation in 2018 and how it is being projected for 2028. So right now, if you see, the major chunk of power generation is being taken care by gas and coal. Uh, and remaining are hydro, nuclear, oil, wind turbines, and other renewables, solar. So all these are taking a backseat in front of gas and coal, and this trend is going to continue in 2028 with solar picking up in further in going forward, solar is going to pick up, but still gas and coal will have significant generation capabilities when we go in 2028. So any power plant which runs on where we need to light fire are known as thermal power plants. Okay, so coal, gas, oil, nuclear. So all these, I would not say nuclear, but nuclear needs higher temperatures. So that too comes into thermal. It doesn't have fire, to be honest. But gas, coal, oil, and nuclear are few power plants which are known as thermal power plants, or which are using thermal energy to generate power. So if I go to the next slide, this is something I'll be talking more on thermal power plants, the gas-fired and coal-fired power plants, in which if you see the most important, there are three most important constituents which actually is needed for power generation. The first one is air. Next one is the fuel, whatever fuel you're using, let it be gas, oil, or coal, and then you need the first fire which ignites the fuel along with the air. So that is the most important thing which then leads you to the power generation. So this is the basic requirement for a power plant that you should be aware of. Now, the power plants are categorized based on there are different categorization. Let's talk about two basic categorization. One is the need and application based categorization, and another one is the plant configuration, how the overall power plant is structured and commissioned. That are the two different categorizations will be talking about. The first one is on base of a need and application. In that, the power plants are used in the industrial and utility sector, wherein you need power plants for, say, for a cement industry, or for a sugarcane industry, or for a chemical industry, you need a small power plant to provide the in-house uninterrupted power supply through the day or through the time the main plant is running. So in that case, they are known as industrial or utility scale power plants. Next are the combined heat and power plants, which is basically mostly needed for the power generation, giving to the larger grid, and everybody is involved. Larger grid is involved, and it is basically needed for the economical use. Next one is district heating. This is mostly related to countries where the temperatures are pretty low throughout the year. So they use power plants for providing steam and used for HVACs in those districts or at a city level. So that is also another use of a power plant. Another one is the integrated gasification combined cycle, where in the gas industries like oil, ONGC, BHEL, ONGC, HPCL, Reliance, all these companies use power plant for gasification of their downstream requirement in their gas plant. And the last one is integrated water and power production. So in few countries like Saudi Arabia or Gulf countries like UAE, Bahrain, they use power plants for both water production as well as power production. So that helps them in uh, giving a dual purpose of installing a power plant. So that is based on your need and application, how the plants are categorized. Other than that, we categorize based uh, on the way the power plant is structured, which is like a simple cycle, single shaft, multi shaft. So I'll go to the next slide, which actually talks more about what is a simple cycle power plant, which is single shaft, what is a multi shaft. So usually simple cycle term is used for power plants or uh, turbines which are installed, gas turbines to be precise, are installed only for power generation. Whatever plant is installed, or whatever power plant is using just one gas turbine and it is generating power, uh, and the exhaust of the gas turbine is not being used further, are known as simple cycle power plant. So if you see, gas turbine is nothing but a kind of a bigger automobile engine or a gas engine. So the exhaust of that gas turbine is sometimes when it is being used on the next turbine, which is a steam turbine, by the exhaust is basically used to heat up the water in an HRSG. HRSG is nothing but the heat recovery system, where that heat or the exhaust heat coming from the gas turbine is used to produce steam, and that steam is sent to steam turbine. That is called as a combined cycle, and those combined cycle can be single shaft or multi shaft. Again, the single shaft units are the ones where on a single shaft the gas turbine as well as the steam turbine and generator is installed. And a multi shaft unit is somewhere where the gas turbine is separate, your steam turbine is separate, and their generators are installed on their own shafts. So there are multi-shaft units. So basically, simple cycle is one kind of gas turbine where exhaust is not being used, and we need to understand that single shaft and multi-shaft are those kind of plants where exhaust of gas turbine is being used by a steam turbine through HRSG. Just the difference is on one when one shaft is rotating, all the turbines, both the gas turbine and the steam turbine, they are rotating together. They are known as single shaft. If they have different shafts on which the simple cycle and combined cycle are, the gas turbine and the steam turbines are rotating, it is called as multi-shaft. So these are the three different categories of plants which we see around the world. So there are its own merits and demerits of simple cycle, single shaft, and multi shaft on this particular page. I'll give you 1 minute just to read through this. If you are looking at these slides, and if you're not, let me know. I'll just read it out for you guys. Is it fine for you to read
Yes.
these merits and demerits?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I'll give you 1 minute to do that. Okay. So if you would have read this merits and demerits and application, you would have understood that uh, although the simple cycle plants are easier to install, easier to it are not very costly, but the efficiency of just one gas turbine working for a power plant is lower. So and the heat consumption, heat rate is also very lower than what we can achieve in single shaft or multi-shaft units, wherein we use the exhaust of gas turbines to further the temperature and pressure of the GT exhaust or gas turbine exhaust is further used for more purposes and to run a steam turbine in turn. So that's how you are increasing the efficiency of the overall plant, and using the heat rate as much as possible. But the construction of simple cycle is very easy. It's not very costly. But when you compare it to, you have all set another set of turbine and generator and HRSG for single shaft and multi shaft, so it makes it capex higher. Capex is nothing but the your total expenditure, capital expenditure when it comes to installing a power plant. So that are the basic differences when you will see how a power plant is categorized.
Mm,
Let's break down a power plant into different parent systems. I mean, each if you see on this particular screen, there are four different systems which makes it as a power plant. One is your electrical conversion, which has your generators. This is your transmission and distribution on the extreme end. Uh, this is your topping cycle. Topping cycle is nothing but the gas turbine cycle or quick response turbines, which doesn't need a lot of energy to the first time energy to start operating. So you have topping cycles as gas turbines in a power plant, in a combined cycle power plant, and the exhaust, this exhaust of gas turbine goes to HRSG, which is part of your bottoming cycle. This entire system is bottoming cycle, which has an HRSG, which is nothing like a boiler. It's in a simpler term, HRSG is nothing but a boiler. Boiler is also a HRSG, but in general terms, if you understand a boiler, the exhaust flue gas of gas turbine goes into boiler, where we have water going in the tubes of the boiler, and that water is converted into steam. And now that steam is, sorry, do I have a question?
Rahul, you were raising hand.
Yes, sir.
Ask the question.
Sir, how can we assign measuring points like, sir, compression running hours?
Come again?
Sir, how can we assign measuring points like compression running hours?
You want to understand how you assign compressor running hours. I mean, how you detect compressor running hours.
Yes,
That
sir.
is what your question is.
Yes,
So
sir.
so in a gas turbine, the compressor running hours are uh, basically calculated by the total amount of power generated by that unit, because we are talking compressors used in a power generation field. We are not, your question is more of just the compressor which are used for different more purposes, but here the compressor is being used for generating power in a gas turbine. Always remember that when we are talking about power plant, the compressor is being used in a gas turbine to compress air and send it to the turbine for further combustion, and that's how we calculate the overall time for which the entire gas turbine is operating, not only the compressor timing. So whatever the time the unit is running, uh, that is being calculated as the compressor runtime here in this case.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I'll go ahead. I was there at HRSG, where in the bottoming cycle, where I told that steam is being generated in the boiler tubes or HRSG tubes, and they are being sent to your steam turbine, which is in turn connected to a condenser, where your steam is getting converted into back into water, and it goes to the heat rejection and cooling tower system, which is your fourth system. Now, this particular steam turbine is also connected to a generator. So both the generators combined becomes your electrical conversion system. And this power generation, whatever you are getting from the gas turbine topping cycle and bottoming cycle, is then transmitted to the uh, grid, basically through transmission and distribution. So that is your basic breakdown of a power system. And in order to control all these systems um, remotely, and I'll talk about it more in the next slide, but in order to make sure that these all systems are running as per intended requirement, we have controls in place. The control system in place, which actually does different, which is required for different more activities, which we're going to talk in the next slide. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So I'll go to the next slide. These are the two statements which summarize the role of control system into in a power plant. So control system is nothing but its use of sensors and detectors to measure the output of different systems and processes which they are controlling. And based on this measurement of the performance, we provide required feedback, the corrective and containment kind of a feedback to the system, and make sure that the performance is as per the requirement of the system connected in the downstream of the process. And systems that are designed to perform without requiring any human input are called automatic control systems. So power plants are not automatic control systems; they are semi-automatic, I would say, because it needs some kind of human interface and human input when you run a power plant through different phases. And in order to have a tightly integrated power control system, we need to have a very robust control system, and it also requires a lot of seamless connectivity, and it also needs, as it is written, real-time information management, and uh, it in turn helps in maximizing the uptime and improved output. So here it where comes the electronics and communications role, where you need to understand the protocols what are required to make sure that the connectivity is very seamless, and it is not threatened by the cyber security. That is also very much important. Cyber security is important in that manner, and you need to have real time information without any lag, so that the operator and the management of the power plant operation and the management of power plant is such that it is not hampered at any point of time. So control system helps in doing that. On the right, you'll see a single line diagram of a typical power plant, where you see the grid connection of 110 kV, and you'll see a generator connected to it through a breaker. And there is also an auxiliary power transformer, which is again connected to your entire LV MV breaker and motor system. Your generator is in turn connected to your power plant, or the gas turbines and the steam turbines which we've been talking about. And the emergency supply can be through a diesel generator or a separate, there is something called a static frequency starters. So all those are sometimes used as a emergency supply to ensure that the gas turbine, which are the first and the fastest, support to a grid system or to any power generation system, is met through the emergency system. So now everything what you see on this electrical screen, electrically and plus through electronics, it is being controlled through the control system which is made for the plant, made at the plant level. We call it also as distributive control system in some places, where each system or each area is controlled locally, and those are independent at times with each other. But with time, in modern times, distributed control system is ironically moving uh, towards a system where everything is being again controlled by one single control room kind of thing. Each system are controlled as DCS. I mean, for example, a balance of plant is being controlled by one DCS. The steam turbine and HRSG is controlled by one DCS. Like, I'll go back to the skit again. So all these four systems, what we are seeing here, can be controlled through one distributive control system. But then we are again looking into sitting in a control room and again monitoring everything and trying to control to one point of time all the four small DCS. So it is again distributive control system is kind of a local control system for each parent system or for each parent system, and then we have a control system which are in simple cycle system which we are talking about. I'll go still back. The simple cycle plant where it's just one simple cycle. I'm gas turbine generating power. We are only using one control system, and that is typically we don't call it a DCS. It is just a single point of control system which we do from a control room. So going back to this particular slide, so here again I'll emphasize on the role of control system, wherein the if the control system is more, if it is erratic, the power plant is not going to run. You'll have, it will be kind of a disaster if your power plant is not running. Because uh, to tell you a live example or to a real-time experience what we had in a power plant earlier, I was working for Adani Power in Mundra, and whenever there was a issue at any site level, we were doing the commissioning, and whenever it was any issue coming with any of the pumps, any of the systems, we used to always go and talk to controls engineer first, because they are the first line of defense or first line of interpretation of equipped enough to tell how your system is responding, how your system had responded when the event happened. And that brings me to and that example brings me to the next and probably the last slide for now, uh, which tells you the basic requirements where control system how control system helps a power plant. It helps in monitoring each and every system, and based on this monitoring you can decide and define what and when is needed to run a power plant properly. The maintenance can be decided properly, the generation can be decided properly, it and the timelines can be met accurately with the monitoring system provided by the control system of a power plant. Then you can do a manual remote operation. As I was telling, power plants are not are not called as automatic control system. Like your car, for example, you're driving a car. That control system is mostly an automatic control system. You have to just switch on the engine, and remaining control system is automatic. You are there's no much human interface going on in there. But in a power plant, you need to have some kind of human input needed, and that is what gives you a better control. I mean, better. Uh, I would put it. Control is something. Okay, that is what will give you a better nick of the overall situation or the process going on in a power plant. So your control system provides that kind of support to it. It also helps you in automatic operation of few of the smaller systems, like a subsystem in a gas turbine or subsystem in a HRSG, which doesn't need input continuously, like a fan, an exhaust fan, or a pump which needs to run throughout the power plant is running at the same speed, at the same input. It will keep running because control system has instructed it to do so. So your automatic operation is also being controlled or taken care by the control system. You have the option to record whatever is happening at the power plant level. Why it is needed that you record the events? Because it also helps you in analyzing the data. It helps you in analyzing what's going on in the power plant, and with the data you have recorded, you can go back into the history of the operation, and then you can understand what what is missing, what is going good, what is going bad. And similarly, that also your recording will also help in the sequence of event, which is called SOE. So SOEs are basically whenever a startup of a gas turbine of a power plant happens, there is a certain sequence at which after which each system comes into picture. So similarly, when a failure happens or when a shutdown or a trip happens, there is a sequence of event which should happen, which should follow. Precedence should be taken by each system one after the other. So that sequence of event is devised, controlled, and maintained by control system. And again, after all, this is for your running of a power plant. But in order to make a power plant, in order to uh, design a power plant, what is most needed is how you model it and how you simulate it. So when I work with Quest Global right now, which in turn works for the gas turbines projects of GE. GE is a company, I am sure you would have heard about the name of GE, General Electric. So we work on the control systems, specifically of control system design and requisition of gas turbines. So in that, before we design, we get a new order. Like for example, NTPC. NTPC is a company which is a behemoth in power generation in India, and they they want to order a power plant, or they want to order a turbine for one of their location, new plant. So we take their requirement, we understand what is needed in different stages, what is their requirement. Then we design that system based on some standards we have for the gas turbines. Once we have designed it, we model that simulation into a real time, in like a real time scenarios. We model the entire design, entire software, and then we simulate it giving different conditions. We simulate it for different conditions, how the model or how the software which we have designed is going to respond in the real time scenario. So control system in turn helps us in making that model and simulating and ensuring that the design what we have made is gonna work out correctly. So control systems, and each of these systems, or each of this application of control system or requirement of control systems, is very much connected to your electronics and communication field. If you know how communication protocols are in place, how the devices are and instrumentation are in place, what are its settings, what are its intrinsic values, what are its extrinsic values, all those things are very much needed to ensure that a control system runs in a healthy manner. And I'm not in this particular session of like 30 minutes I have spoken now, and you would have noticed that whatever I have told is to make you more conscious and make you more. I wanted to intrigue you with power plant and its control system, so that you go back and look into YouTube and look for videos which are more specific to a one particular company. Like example, if you go to YouTube and look for a video for how a gas turbine operates, that will give you a better picture. Because being an employee of a company, I should not be using videos directly from YouTube or in this particular session, so I'm not showing that. But I'll ask you, each and every of you, to go and just search on YouTube for GE, General Electric, and look for different videos for gas turbine and power plants related thing, and you'll understand the capacity, and we understand how important the control system is in running a power plant. So making you aware was my making you aware of power plant and the control system was my intention of this particular section. I'll leave you with this one photograph which is very close to where you are right now. This is a power plant photo of NTPC Dadri, and Dadri is very near to your place. You might have gone past this power plant and you have seen the stack or the chimney, in common word we call. So you would have seen this photograph. I got it from Facebook and I have posted to make you guys realize the how beautiful a power plant can be from outside. And you would probably next time when you are passing by this power plant or any other power plant, you would appreciate and you would be more excited to know what is going on this power plant. I could have talked more. I could have gone into how a power plant operates part by part, but I didn't do that, so that you yourself go and look for it. And if you have any questions, my email ID, you can get it from ma'am, Anna ma'am, and you can always drop an email. I would try and respond to it, whatever knowledge I have, whatever support and help I can extend. Because in a session like this, I believe it is more important to make the audience aware of what I am talking about, rather than going into the nitty-gritty of the technology. Technology can be learned in the classrooms and in different forums. But in a webinar like this, I personally feel that we should be more talking about making people more aware of certain things, more aware of these their surrounding. And I would like each and every one of you to go take your time today, entire day, and look into Google out power plants and nothing big. Just read the Wikipedia of a power plant. You'll understand lot many things. You'll appreciate lot many things. You'll see. You can just go to the images section of, you just search power plant, go to image section of it, and then you'll see the beauty of a power plant. And it takes a lot of passion and commitment to work for a power plant. And I hope a few of you would someday join a power plant and make this country proud.
Yeah.
If there are any more questions, I have time for 10 15 minutes. You can ask those questions. I'll try and answer. And if you have any further bigger questions which I may not answer in this forum, I'll try and respond through an email if you send it across.
Sure, sir.
So, thank you.
Any questions, students? Any questions? No questions.
So actually, I have a question to ask. It was very
Yeah, sure.
interesting session. So I wanted to ask that so power plant industry will be safe from the artificial intelligence industry coming in, it will not overtake this domain because it's a semi-automation. So
Yes. So the efforts are on to make artificial intelligence into to bring in use in power plant, but it is very difficult. You know, the the even a slightest mistake in the artificial intelligence or in the automatic control system, if it goes bad, your entire process will get screwed up, and your entire generation of power will get hampered. So it will need a certain amount of human interaction
Intervention.
in running a power plant. There are, I must tell you this, there are places in Gulf where there are close to 20, 25 gas turbines being run by one single person. That is also there. But then there is that one person is still needed. He sits in a control room when the temperatures outside is close to 50 degrees C in the deserts, and there are 20 gas turbines installed in a row. And from one common control room, he monitors all the 20 gas turbines for 7 hours or 8 hours at a stretch, or maybe two people doing that. But they still do that. Although control system of GE, because I have worked for GE and I'm still working on the projects of GE, I can tell the control system is pretty much there to control. Once you hit a start button, it will go till synchronization. You have to just take actions at different points. Like once you start the hit button, it will go to full speed no load of the gas turbine, and you have to just click one another button. It will go for synchronization, and then one more button, and it will go to the base load. Base load is nothing but the maximum load at which the gas turbine can run. So the GE's control system is equipped to do that. But then again, you need to be around that system to know how it is responding to whatever is going on. Because your devices and sensors and all the measuring instruments cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. They are going to be devices, or they are going to be related to somewhere mechanized system will be there.
That means maintenance is very important.
Yeah, maintenance is the key. You know, there are preventive maintenance which are scheduled for each power plant, and they are, again, as we were talking, right? And the control system requirement actually helps you in the monitoring, the recording. These two systems, these two requirements, or these two actions done by control system helps you in doing the preventive maintenance. The monitoring and the recording will give you the data to analyze how to slot your preventive maintenance for each system.
Right.
Some systems may require monthly maintenance. Some may require 6-month maintenance. Some may require every day. Like filters needs to be cleaned every fortnight or every maybe every week of particular system. If you need, there are filters you need to change over and clean the filters for oil and all those things. Maybe every 15 days or every month. But all those systems, all the data come from the sensors which are installed in the field and being monitored and recorded by the control system. So control system plays that important role in the preventive maintenance and corrective maintenance as and when needed. So if there is some failure, you have the recorded data to analyze, the trends to analyze how that system responded before the failure. And then you, based on the experience, based on the work being done by the uh, system earlier, you tend to reach out to a root cause analysis. You go do a fishbone analysis and see why that system failed. Is it something which is very local, or it is something related to the system, I mean, to the device itself, or to the process itself? You go and analyze. And what enables you to do that is the monitoring and the recording system provided by the control.
Right. Sana, you were raising your hand. Sana?
Hello, sir. Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon.
morning.
In the beginning,
Yeah.
sir, there was a slide in which there were like data about 2018 and 2028.
Okay.
We had values about renewable and non-renewable sources,
Okay.
like how much we are going to use. So, like, sir, why are we still like even for 2028, we are not reflecting on the renewable sources more and still depending on coal?
Okay. So, as you understand, renewable sources are mostly nature dependent. Wind, hydro, solar, all these things are dependent on the environment and the nature. So they're not 100% reliable unless we get batteries to store energy. That big batteries to store energies. Renewable energy or renewable power plant is based on renewable energy, will be very difficult, because let's take solar power plant for that matter, or let's say wind power plant for that matter. You would not see wind blowing at the same speed, the same intensity at a particular given location. Although the wind power plant are installed in a, after doing a lot of research, lot of analysis, that where the wind is continuously freezing, but there can be chances where the intensity can go lower, go higher, and the turbine of windmill, turbine installed on a windmill is what, 2 megawatt or 3 megawatt, probably. The max I know is GE's turbine is 3 megawatt, if I'm not wrong, which is currently installed in field. And whereas a gas turbine, the smallest gas turbine what you have right now, is capable of generating close to 30-35 megawatt at one go. So, and in order to do 35 megawatt, you need 30 windmills at least. Oh, sorry, 10 windmills to be installed. And installing a windmill is not easy. So that is the challenges in installing a renewable power plant, or the capex which is required for installing a renewable power plant is much higher than what is needed for a coal or gas fired power plant. The, although the renewable power gives you a lot of green energy, but efforts are being made to ensure that gas and coal fired power plants are also moving towards green energy. Although it cannot be possible that they can be 100% green, but still efforts are being made to ensure that the power being generated by these non-renewable sources are still greener than what it used to be before. So efforts are being made by government as well as the companies like GE, Hitachi, Mitsubishi. They are working on it round the clock to make sure that the emissions from a gas turbine or the exhaust of a coal-based power plant has lower carbon emission than ever. Carbon as well as your NOx emissions. NOx is nothing but the your nitrogen oxide emissions are as low as possible. So efforts are being made throughout the time, and the abundance of and readily availability of gas and coal makes it more you know lucrative to put up a power plant related to gas and coal when it comes to solar or wind. That's the reason, Sana.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No issues.
Like in developed countries, there is this concept of carbon credits.
Yeah.
So, like how your company or how the power plants are taking into account how they are the measures.
So the carbon credit is typically driven by government of each country. Like in India, it was not there till I think 2 years back, 2 or 3 years back, and the emissions. So the norms or the level at which the emission should be was not that strict. Um,
Okay.
but when you
Yes.
come to countries like USA or Germany or France, um, Japan, they are very strict with the emission norms. They are very strict with how much NOx or carbon is being emitted from your system. So G as a company had put in place those systems, but you need to buy those products. They have already developed that product. They're already installed in countries where the laws are norms are stricter. But in India, it is still coming up. The government has given time, I think, till 2021 for coal-based power plants, and gas
Okay.
plants are not running because the non-availability of gas right now. But for the coal power plants, I think it was 21 or 22 by the time the emissions of all the plants should be cut down to the specified norms and norms which are being set by the government. So again, we have products. Uh, for gas turbine, I can tell you a system known as model-based control. Your model-based control helps in cutting down the emissions, which is again model-based control is as the name suggests, it's a control system product where we ensure that the running of the power plant is or the operation of the power plant is done in such a way that the fuel which is being consumed or which is being combusted in the combustion system emits as less nitrogen and carbon as possible. So we design or we code the operation of or the injection of fuel in the combustion system in such a way, the amount of fuel and air mixture in such a way that the emission at the end, at the exhaust of the gas turbine, is reduced to the required levels. So
Okay.
that has been again taken care by, although the equipments are still the same. It's just how you schedule. Again, I'll go back to the same last slide. Uh, you actually do the sequence of event and automatic operation through control system software to ensure that your emissions are in check. The amount of fuel and air which is being mixed and burned in the combustion system of gas turbine is controlled through the code, through the control software code, and that's how we are taking care of the emission. So it's not a product. I mean, it's not a mechanical product which is in place. It is just ensuring that the overall power generation is cleaner by making the changes in the code, how much the valve should open, how much air should be mixed. All those things are being tweaked here and there at each and every 40 millisecond time difference, and that is being further translating into how the emissions are controlled.
Rahul, you have
That
a
is the
question?
example.
Rahul?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So according to your fourth slides of plant configuration, so there something was written that CHP. So I want to
Okay.
know about CHP.
Yeah, the combined heat and power. As I was telling, the difference between simple cycle and the other two, the basic differences. Uh, in the simple cycle, a gas turbine is being used to generate power. So how gas turbine works is you take air from atmosphere, compress into a compressor, send it to a combustion system where fuel is injected and this ignition happens. Combustion of this fuel gas and air mixture is then pushed into the turbine, and which rotates the turbine and the shaft, and the final exhaust is sent through the exhaust system into open atmosphere through a stack. So that is your simple cycle. Okay, clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Down? Okay, now this is a simple cycle where you take air, put it through a compressor, compress it into the compressor, mix it with the fuel in the combustion system, ignite it, combust it, and take the flue gas through exhaust system into atmosphere. You're not using the exhaust of the turbine anyway.
So that is your simple cycle. You're not utilizing the heat which is still remaining in the exhaust of the gas turbine. That is your simple cycle. Whereas in a simple single shaft or multi shaft, which is also known as combined cycle power plant, you are utilizing the heat which is remaining in the gas turbine exhaust to make steam in the boiler, which is in the downstream of the GT exhaust. So you're not allowing the heat or allowing the flue gas to escape into atmosphere through exhaust of the gas turbine, exhaust stack of the gas turbine, where but in turn you're using that flue gas to heat up the boiler and make the water which is there in the tube as steam, and then using the steam again into steam turbine for further power generation. So that is your combined heat and power cycle power plant. So single shaft and multi shafts are used in combined cycle power plant, whereas simple cycle we are just using it for only quick power demand or peak power demand. That is the application from the application point of view. That are the difference. That's why you see there's no difference into the application when it comes to single shaft and multi shaft, because both of them use the exhaust of gas turbine for generating steam, which is being used by the steam turbine. Clear?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Or you want more? If you want more,
No, sir.
it's fine. I'm sure you should be looking for more information. To be honest, and you can probably go ahead. So questions like these, this is something which I wanted from this webinar. So going through the slides and telling people about things is easy, but getting questions and understanding what people want to know and how I can help them in answering their questions is what I was looking for in this webinar. And thank you, Rahul and Sana, for this question. Asta ma'am for that. And those kind of questions which comes through this webinar, probably I wouldn't have covered emission question related to emission for sure. But because you asked, we talked about how a control system works, how software works in ensuring that emissions are low. So Rahul, good question, and I would suggest go ahead and look into more differences. Go and try and YouTube the differences between simple cycle and combined cycle. I'm sure you're gonna get lot many videos, lot many presentations which are made as a video in those systems. So thank you for asking that question, Rahul. Anybody else?
Okay, thank you, sir.
No questions? Okay. So thank you, sir, for this enlightening session.
Oh,
And
come on.
in
No,
this,
it was my pleasure.
yeah, in these tough times when everybody is sitting at home, so we can say this is a blessing in disguise. We could connect with people like you, industry people like you, who can guide us, enlighten us with the practical knowledge that you have. Okay, so in future also we'll be looking forward
Yeah, sure.
for these type of sessions, and it was really very enlightening. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, everybody. And you can always reach out to me, and I'll try and help as and when possible.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So, sir, can you just